What's up, guys? Your man Unspoken Reviews back again with another video. And today I'm going to be doing my review of the first episode of Eyes of Wakanda, episode 1, Into the Lion's Den. All right, guys. So I was back and forth if I was actually going to watch this series. Actually, when it came out, I was actually on vacation. That's why I needed that mental reset. And if you guys aren't taking advantage of your summer, I highly advise that you do that. Take some time, step away from the day to day, and just enjoy some time to yourself because that is always important for your mental health. All right, guys. So I was back and forth, like I said, if I was going to watch this series, not because I have a problem with the whole Black Panther lore, but I feel like it's kind of like an overplayed thing. I will say that the first Black Panther movie is iconic. It is a great film. It did a great job with just executing everything we love about the character. It definitely did something for the culture of Black America. I am Black myself, so I was very excited to see the character on screen in Civil War, as well as having his own movie. Wakanda Forever, I was kind of back and forth if I really liked it. It was definitely a tribute to the late Chadwick Boseman, who did a great job playing the character. It was such a sad thing to see him pass. It was very unexpected. However, the man did stand in power until the very end. He didn't let anyone feel sorry for him. And I highly respected him just not only playing the character, but seemed to have played the character in real life as well. And they did a great job honoring his legacy going forward. I wasn't exactly excited about Shuri taking over the mantle. I do know it happens in the comics, but I just kind of felt like the character of T'Challa was just way too important to be, overshadowed just because of the actor passing, especially since I believe the actor himself, Chad, believed that this character should consistently go forward. It shouldn't be entitled to just one actor. It should always move on to someone else. But I did get a chance to watch Eyes of Wakanda, the first episode. I'm going to be doing reviews for each episode individually, just to highlight the things that I really liked about the series. So that way you guys get more of an in-depth idea of what I thought about it. All right, guys. So this does take place back in the country of Crete in 1260 BC. And it seems that this is a country that is somewhat at peace. It seems that the country itself is invaded by what looks like a Wakandan army, right? It seems like this Wakanda army, but we do see that it is not all Wakandans. They do all have like the Wakandan purple colors, somewhat associated with Wakanda. And however, it is not the Wakandan army. However, because we do see that there are other characters that are along for the ride, and these guys all seem of different ethnic backgrounds. It seems like some are from different countries, maybe from probably Asia, maybe Russia, some from Europe. And it seems like they come from all over the world, and they look like warriors from different types of walks of life. We do see that there is a Dora that is actually in the crowd of the Crete, and she seems to be watching this army as it does approach. And they are also being led by a man in what seems like a lion mask as well as Wakandan armor. He does come forward, and it seems that some of Crete's greatest warriors do try to take him out. And we do see as they do try to fight him, we do see that Wakanda still has that very powerful tech from the vibranium that did crash land into Wakanda thousands of years ago. And it seems that even back then, it was still extremely powerful. It didn't reach the heights of technology that it did before in the past. They do still have great technology in this era. However, it seems that they are still kind of limited to certain things. I don't see them working with too many different other items other than what I saw. Like flying transports, but I just didn't see them much in this episode. If we do see them and I missed them, you guys let me know. So it does seem like the Warriors do try to put up a fight, but this lion warrior does manage to beat some of their greatest warriors, and they are able to overthrow the country. And we see throughout this entire time, there is a Dora that is in the background watching this whole thing, and that we will learn that this character is actually named Nani. And she actually was originally part of the Dora Milaje. However, after she has had a very hard time being able to work together with the group, she is actually expelled from the training. And we do find out that the leader of the Dora Milaje at the time is also known as Akia. And she does kind of berate Nani, but offers her an opportunity to fix her mistakes and earn her place back along the Dora Milaje. And she's very unwilling to at first, and we see she does have that kind of rebel spirit. She just doesn't want to fall in line with the way they want to do things. However, Akia does convince her by telling her that there is a warrior from Wakanda who has gone rogue. That's right. It seems that this man that is in the lion costume is also known as Nakati. He's actually the captain of the Royal Guard, or previous captain of the Royal Guard, and had trained many members of the Dora Milaje. That also includes everyone that is now a member, as well as Akia herself. And it turns out that the only person he has not trained is Noni, because Noni was expelled from it, and that he actually left before Noni actually was going through her training to be able to actually train her himself. Now, during the time that I had actually watched Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, I never once actually seen any kind of male Royal Guard members. We have seen different ones like the Border Patrol and as well as the Jabari Tribe, but we haven't really seen any kind of male Royal Guard members. So I don't know if this just happens back in the past and maybe it changed somewhere in the future. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure we'll find out as we go on with the series. But as we see that after he left Wakanda, he decided to go rogue. And not only that, but he took a multitude of artifacts with him. And as soon as they showed the artifacts, I immediately pointed out the one artifact that's up in the corner here, that this is the exact same axe or item that is actually revealed in the first Black Panther film. Now, if you guys remember in the introduction to Killmonger, he actually finds out that the items are from Wakanda and actually tells the curator of the museum that it's actually Wakanda tech and it's made of vibranium. This is the exact same weapon that Nakati actually took from Wakanda. And it's pretty interesting. I like that they actually put this in the series to show the connection between this series and the MCU as we've come to know it. I think that's pretty awesome. Another thing that I did really like is finding out that there are other members that have become, rogues along with Wakanda. And, from Black Panther, we see that Killmonger was an American that actually did come to Wakanda with the intent of taking it over. It's very interesting to see kind of a flip side of that coin where you have a Wakandan who is completely trained in the arts and as well as all their military tactics and knowledge actually want to leave Wakanda. I think that was kind of weird just seeing the duality of the two different types of the way each side views Wakanda. One views it as a place with too many secrets and is holding them down. The other one sees it as a place that's hiding itself away from everyone. It can make a major difference to the rest of the world. I thought that was pretty awesome. Also, a little tidbit there. Chris Williams actually is playing Nakati, aka the Lion, in this show. Now, if you guys don't know Chris Williams, he actually played Black Lightning in the CW show Black Lightning. So it's pretty cool seeing him constantly stick around in the superhero thing. But we do see that the Lion's forces are pretty much ruthless, guys. They don't really come off as just trying to kill every single person that they cross paths with. You see, they actually go from country to country and they take over the country, but they give the people an opportunity to join them. They offer them food, they offer them, comfort. But they have to take that with the understanding that they are taking the Lion's opportunity to be amongst his forces, that they have to accept the things that come with working with the Lion and accept him as their leader. Some do it, but others view it as slavery, which it is. And those who do not choose to submit are tortured until they do submit, which I find extremely interesting. Of course, Noni does not take well to this, and she actually puts up a pretty decent fight. It does a service of showing exactly the training that goes into the Dora Milaje. I kind of hope that we kind of get a series that might kind of reflect on that. Maybe somewhere during the series, we might see that later. I kind of hope so, but I'm not holding my breath. But it would be pretty awesome if they made a series that just focuses on how one joins Dora Milaje and all the type of training tactics that go into it. That would be pretty sick because she was laying down an ass whooping on plenty of the warriors. Some of the warriors were incredibly trained. I think the one woman here is a Viking, but she actually puts up a great fight. She kind of had like that Eivor look from Assassin's Creed. If you guys know what I'm talking about, if you guys ever play the Assassin's Creed game, she definitely looks like Eivor a little bit. So she does put up a decent fight. Kati is actually watching this whole fight go down, and he starts to armor up. We see that he has quite a few many artifacts that gives him a very tactical advantage, and we get the fight between him and Noni. Now, he does not originally fight her. He does give her a chance to join him, and we do find out that Nakati was actually one of the original War Dogs. Now, if you guys do remember, the War Dogs were actually announced in Black Panther, but they are actually spies that go from different countries from Wakanda to learn about any kind of potential threats that Wakanda may face. And this is actually something that's mentioned when Killmonger and Wakabi are actually working together to get weapons to send off to several different war dogs around the world. And he says that there are war dogs around the world standing by to attack the different countries. And it's pretty interesting seeing that this episode immediately lets us know where this group originated from, why they do what they do. And I think that's pretty interesting because it makes you wonder, is Wakanda actually a safe country if they're going out looking for threats? Now, of course, if there's no threat, they won't do anything because I think they're only worried about any threats that are pertaining to Wakanda. If there aren't, then those countries have nothing to worry about. This also kind of makes me wonder, did the war dogs ever know about what happened with the 10 rings? Because the 10 rings were moving in the background according to the Shang-Chi film. And it kind of makes me wonder, did the Wakandans know about the 10 rings? I mean, it would make sense if their group was moving, but the 10 rings seem to be only amassed by certain types of Asian type of warriors at a certain point in time. So it would be pretty difficult for the Wakandans to kind of integrate into that unless they found a different way, but it's never really explained in the MCU yet. So we do finally get the Noni versus Nakati fight, and I think it's a pretty interesting fight scene. You know, we do get to see that Wakandan tech, you know, laying the smack down the way it does with all those types of energy blasts from the vibranium. It's just pretty cool to see how powerful this weapon is. Because if you guys remember in the movie, it was just kind of glossed over as a piece of vibranium that they just found, right? But to see the power that this thing wields. Now, I don't know if it only wields that type of power because it's connected to the other half of the staff, but the way that it's able to just shoot out that raw vibranium energy is amazing. And the fact that we didn't actually see that in the Black Panther film is okay. It was just kind of a MacGuffin to kind of get, you know, T'Challa on board with looking for Ulysses' claw. So it makes sense that it was just kind of a MacGuffin. I understand that with the movie, but I'm just kind of glad we got to see the raw power that's behind this particular weapon. However, we do see that Noni does end up getting the upper hand and defeats Nakati. He's not dead, but he actually ends up putting a self-destruct that does destroy the ships. However, Nakati does die. However, he does not really care about his death because to him, he sees his death as freedom. He doesn't really see it as bondage. And he looks at Wakanda as a place of bondage. It looks like a place that has kept him down for too long. To him, dying in his own death and being able to do the things he wanted to do and see the world the way he wanted to see it. I'm kind of glad that the series kind of gave Nakati a different type of vibe from Eric Killmonger. He kind of comes off, like I said, as a great warrior. And it is even said in the episode that with the power that he's amassing, he is definitely on the way to becoming a king in his own right if he wants to. And it's also hinted at that he's actually the best trained fighter in Wakanda, second only to the king himself. But I actually like that it explains that he is just this incredible warrior. However, I did not feel that when I saw the fight between him and Noni. It kind of felt like he was kind of behind against her. I think they did kind of explain that with the fact that he did not train her. So there are certain tactics and abilities that Noni does have that allows her to get the upper hand in a strategic sense. I know a lot of people will probably see the episode and see like, oh, it's just, women empowerment. However, the series and the episode does a great job of explaining she does have somewhat of an advantage over him, having been trained in a different manner. So even when she does defeat him and he does end up causing the self-destruct, we do see that the end of the spear that we do see in the first Black Panther film does actually leak to the very bottom of the ocean. I thought it was pretty cool, just showing that that's why it disappeared. Kind of makes me wonder how and where they found it in order to bring it to that type of museum. And it's kind of interesting because the way Killmonger explains it said that it was stolen from Wakanda, that was stolen from the people, which makes sense that if you're thinking about the history of slavery. So it's very interesting if they just found it and then brought it to that museum, or was it recovered by the Wakandans and then stolen again? Really just kind of adds to the mystique and vibe and the secrecy of Wakanda, which makes it much more broader. I actually like that about this series. I'm actually looking forward to watching the next episode. So we do see that Noni does actually return back to Wakanda, and she does give the details of the fight, saying that even though she defeated him, she could not bring him back alive the way she was supposed to. However, Akia is not mad about this. She says that she still accomplished the task. The mission was a success, and they decide to give her the opportunity to join the Dora Milaje again. However, Noni has kind of grown after everything that she did experience with Nakati, and she decides to decline that and actually take up a position as a war dog. She actually decides to become a war dog of Wakanda and set out into the world to protect Wakanda from any incoming threats. Something that Akia is not really surprised at. She already knew she was going to take that role, and she welcomes her in with open arms to joining the war dogs. And we actually get to see the waterfall here in the background. This is the same waterfall we see where T'Challa actually goes to his battle initiation to become Black Panther and where he goes up against Killmonger. But overall, guys, I like this episode. This episode one did a great job of getting me invested. I thought it was great. It did much more to me than I thought it would. It definitely had moments of hype with the fight scenes, which were very awesome. They had a really great, compelling story where you kind of understood where the antagonist was coming from. I definitely understood Nakati. He didn't want to be held down. He wanted to create his own legacy that was not just serving Wakanda. He got to experience the world in a different type of version, and he wanted to hold on to that. Whereas we found someone like Killmonger who had been out in the world and had experienced it a different way that wanted to turn Wakanda into something different. And it was just a very interesting, not a parallel, but opposite understandings of the way that Wakanda and the world are viewed through different eyes. So I definitely enjoyed this episode. I'm definitely going to enjoy watching the rest of the series. I can't wait to see the one with the Iron Fist. I'm super excited about that. If you guys have any of your favorite moments in the episode, drop them down here in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.